something. Thank you. Do something different. Um,
So Larry asks here is that to see the current archived repo and see if that's correct. And if
no, for
something
the
else needs to be archived, then we should highlight it.
so I think the ask here, this all started with just rethinking of permissions, who has admin, who is write, and so on, maintainer for the various repos. And in the process of whittling that down, one obvious thing we can do is just push a bunch of dated stuff that I wouldn't delete the repos, but I would just archive them. And once you archive the repos, then there are teams that just make no sense anymore, and we can delete them.
Yeah, I mean, over on OMEC project, I looked today, there's a team called Members with 90 people in it, and it doesn't have rights on any repo.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing.
Team.
So AJ, is that making sense?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And I think this is the right place to start. Because if you've got the domain knowledge, then you know instantly that this is just, this can be archived. And again, my process was I archived, I looked to see what repos teams had access to, and if that turned to roughly empty or whatever, then I deleted the team. And then once the teams were gone, I looked to see who belonged to no teams. And I didn't delete them. I moved them to collaborator out of the organization. It's basically what I did.
Yeah.
And so once we do that, I think it'll be a little bit more manageable to fix up what's left.
And just on the OMIC project, the other thing I saw was there is a team that Zach is part of, and he's got complete admin rights on every repo in the place. It's CI tests maintainers. So that would be just another one for AJ to have a look at.
Good.
I can give you a link to the spreadsheets, AJ.
I think that would be helpful.
All right, so let's just keep on this and make some incremental progress, and I think it'll reach the point that it'll feel more manageable to, I don't know, clean slate it, but whatever. All right. So the main topic I want to make sure we get plenty of time for is the proposed rock model changes. And I don't have who's connected in front of me, but I think we have the right people.
Yeah, Larry, it's Suresh here. Yeah.
Okay, good. I will stop sharing, and you, if you have, I'm assuming you have a couple slides or something.
Yes. Yeah, I do have.
Okay, great.
Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I have captured the kind of proposed changes, what we would like to add as part of the rock, and the kind of changes in the API and other stuff. I have also captured the screenshot of the GUI. So how does it look like? So and I will go through what we would like to do basically. So sometime back when you might know, we were engaging with one of the POCs for showcasing the end-to-end secure slicing with Aether. So as part of this initiative, we have developed an XApp, which is Gabriel is working and already part of, we were uploading here as a separate repo. So with respect to that, we would the current Aether or whatever the rock platform, which is only controlling the SD core components, which is highlighted in the yellow box here. So the configuration and all these things can be done for the modules, which is highlighted here. We would like to update and enhance the rock interfaces, APIs, to add the parameters which we would like to control and push this information to the XApp endpoint as well, especially the parameters like the slicing related information, the policy ratios, minimum, maximum, and other stuff. So we also tried to use the existing configuration from the slice and other information which is already part of the rock. So some of these informations like the slicing IDs and other things we would like to pick and push this information here. We want that kind of facility to be added into the rock, and keeping in that mind, we have a kind of for our POC, we have enhanced this item and we have added an endpoint where we will configure the URL for this XApp. And as of now, we have configured the policy ratios through a route now. So
Can I inject with a question just to be clear? Are you going to propose changes to the models, or are you going to propose a I forget what they're called, the backend to rock that writes?
The changes involves the changes in the model as well, yes. And the backend.
So yeah, it would be helpful if you as you go forward here, if you can be really clear as when you're talking about a model and when you're talking about a backend.
Okay, yeah.
Do you mean adapter, Larry?
Thank you. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'll go through here. So basically, these changes involves the Aether models, API, adapter, as well as the GUI. There are 4 places we have updated. And I will go through the changes and highlight what kind of parameters we have added. And I will show the GUI as well. So basically, there are in the Aether models tree, we updated, there are 2 specific files. So in the ONF site, we have added an URL endpoint where we will be configuring our XApp URL, and which comes under the site here, under the Aether 21x. And the second part is on the slice itself. So we have enhanced already the slice section to add a container. It's basically have the policy ratios. For now, we have added the policy ratios. So the RRM minimum, maximum, and the dedicated ratios. And eventually, we would like to enhance this more and add as much as parameters as possible going forward. But for now, we have just started with this 2 changes here on the slide and the slice section. So this is how the updated Aether model tree looks like. We can see we have just added an endpoint, and which comes under the read write option with 5G service. And under the slice, you can see the XApp container, which has these RRM minimum, maximum, and dedicated ratios. Apart from this is the newly added parameters. Apart from this, we will be using the SSD, SD, and PLM and IDs and other information from the existing configuration in order to push. That will be, we have updated in the adapter. So there is nothing changed with respect to those as far as the model concern. And with respect to the API, and this is the, I think when I generate, there are lots of other changes highlighted there, but I just captured only the parameters or kind of things we have added, which is relevant for this new parameters. So the API point of view, then the RAN 5G connectivity in this under the site, we have added one thing, which is basically just pushing the information for the URL where we are configuring the XApp endpoint URL. And on the XApp and the slicing and the slice section, we have added a container with the name XApp, and which is having the slicing related parameters. On the SD core adapter, so basically we have updated the synchronized device section. So basically we have created a synchronized slice XApp API here, and we have added as part of this synchronized device, and we will be pushing this information during this device sync. And there is a separate file structure, files and other things created under the synchronizer. Apart from that, one more thing we have added or updated is existing mechanism is it was using, I think, post method or put. I just forget that one. So we would like to change that into the industry or the standardized one, the put. So that is also we have changed and tested. And let me show you and how does it look like with respect to the GUI. So basically, this is the existing site. So where we are configuring the 5G and other things. So we have added another parameter here for the XApp, where we are configuring what is the URL for the particular endpoint where we can interact with that XApp here there. And under the slice, if you see, when we are creating the slice, so we have added another section, and this is, I think we have updated. This is captured sometime back before we update this the policy ratios. It should be a policy ratio which we were able to configure for the minimum, maximum, and the dedicated parameters.
What
So this
is
is
the policy? What is the policy ratio? This is a, I mean, so it's already the case that the models and the API have bandwidth parameters associated with slices. How is this the same or different?
Yeah, the bandwidth, all those things are especially already, it was, okay, the QoS parameter already we were pushing with respect to the particular slice and other things which is transferred to the core like UPF, AMF, SMF, right? This policy ratio is, I think, used by the XApp, the configuration model, which is basically uses the CCC service model to control the slices on the RAN. Maybe Gabriel can give more details.
Sure.
Especially what exactly we were doing.
Yeah, so these policy ratios are basically parameters related to slicing from the RAN perspective. In this case, 3GPP defines these three values that are minimum policy ratio, maximum policy ratio, and dedicated policy ratio.
I can't hear Gabriel. Can anyone hear me?
Can you hear me?
We can hear Gabriel. We can hear Larry, you as well. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Now
we can hear you.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, Gabriel.
Okay. Sorry. What was the last part that you hear? Yeah, okay.
policy
So
ratios RAN related.
Yes, but okay. So these are parameters defined by 3GPP related to slicing. Primarily concentrated on the RAN side. So from that perspective, ORAN took these parameters and defined them as part of the CCC service model. From that perspective, the policy ratio means basically the amount of PRBs that are assigned to each of the different slices. So the amount of dedicated policy ratio is basically a percentage value. That is the amount of PRBs that are assigned to a specific slice.
Suresh, I have a few questions.
Yeah,
Can I ask?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, thank you for like staying up for so late, right? It's almost like 12 in the midnight. Yeah, okay. So if you can go back on the first slide, right? The where you have proposed architecture. So is this like you are proposing that one new endpoint per app or per REAK?
This we were communicating with the XApp endpoint. I think this should be that will be per RIC. I think Gabriel, can you correct me?
Yes.
I think
so we're doing this in a per RIC basis. Basically, what we are doing here, we are using the A1 interface, which is already implemented in the RIC, and like a very high level picture, we can think of using the ROC as the non-real time or the SMO component at in the RAN side. That's kind of at least was the original idea of kind of doing this, so we can actually have control, not just from a slicing perspective from the core network side, but also controlling the parameters from the slicing from the RAN side aspect.
So I really like that ROC SMO And go ahead. That's a good point to make.
Yeah, so in this specific case, at least for the project itself, what we were kind of considering, we had to have this end-to-end secure slicing. So this end-to-end secure slicing means not just securing the slice from the core network perspective, but as well from the RAN component, right? So, and to do that, we had to somehow integrate these two components, because for now, the ROC only controls specifically the SD core, that there is nothing involved in there from the RAN perspective. Then from the RAN side, we have the rig, which is basically just the near real-time rig, but we don't have any non-real-time rig or an SMO. So given that we want to kind of control these parameters from an end-to-end perspective, that's why we say, okay, the most appropriate way to do it is making the ROC being like an SMO, to have this connection and this control from the ROC itself. Again, not just from the core network, but also from the RAN side. And in the RAN side, again, in the core network, we already have the parameters defined. There are parameters already defined there, to control the amount of resources for the slices, which is basically defined as a data rates. But in the RAN side, that's what 3GPP defines as these policy ratios, just the amount of PRBs that are assigned to each of the different slices, in a dedicated manner, in a minimum amount of resources, or the maximum amount of resources if nobody else is using them. And that's basically what Suresh is kind of presenting in this specific case, how we are extending the ROC models to also kind of support these parameters in the case that there is, the use of these parameters on the rig. If there is no rig in there, basically the parameters are not being used.
So there's no negative impact if you don't have the rig.
No, as far as I remember, no. But Suresh, please correct me if I am wrong.
Yeah,
but
no.
As far as the experiments we run, there is no. So if there is no rig, there is not a problem. So you're gonna have the parameters in the, let's say, ROC GUI, but there's not gonna be any control on there.
So Gabriel and Suresh, like, is it this OAI that also you're making some changes to make it slice aware? I mean, the slice config goes all the way to RAN stack, or it stays only?
Yeah, no, that of course the ultimate component that actually executes these policy ratios is the MAC layer, right? So basically the scheduler. That from that perspective, if the scheduler is a slice-aware scheduler, it can actually use that information to appropriately assign this amount of resources in here.
Okay, and it supports multiple slices, this existing stack.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Looks good. Yeah.
So we have tested so far with the 2 slices for our demo, but eventually I don't see any issues we can't support more. Yeah.
So for 2 slices, you run multiple UPF instances. Whatever, Gabriel, you had done few.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Exactly. So, and the current Ether architecture is basically you have a single UPF per slice. So in our case, we had to demonstrate just 2 slices. So, but it could go more than that. But at the moment, basically, when in ROC, when you configure a slice, basically you are attaching a specific UPF with a specific certain maximum data rate in uplink, downlink, and so on from the core network perspective. And from the rig perspective, or from the RAN perspective, basically you assign these different policy ratios. And when you create this slice, you are assigning these resources, these policy ratios, to a specific SST SD combination, right? And that's how basically, it's supports any number of slices. Just
so if I could say that back, just see if I've internalized it. The ROC already has a notion of slices. It has a notion of UPFs. You've leveraged those. You just added additional parameters so that you can now set and control the RAN end as well as the core end. But everything else, it's still part of the same slice machinery that ROC had all along.
Exactly. So actually, if Suresh, you should have a kind of like a screen capture of the GUI for the slicing component, if you can go there. probably it's easier to just show that part. Okay, so here, what is already on the left-hand side of the screen, that's what is that for the slides? No, it's not for the slides.
That is for the site. On the right side, there is I unfortunately haven't captured the entire thing. I just captured only the modified version. So
so there would still be a slice screen page.
yes.
And now all the parameters that you can set for a slice include also then these ratio.
Exactly.
Yeah. So basically, if we look just in the right hand side, which is the slice parameters, right? So we have this default slice screen or interface where you have defined the name of the slice, you assign what is the SSD value, SSD value, and the UPF that is being used for that slice, and also the data rate assigned to that part. So in the same screen, the only thing that we did, we added these 3 parameters that Suresh is showing in there, which is the minimum, maximum, and dedicated policy ratio. Yeah, nothing else has changed, but I think, let me see if I can have access to my setup. You can, Suresh, you can continue. And in the meantime, I can just try to have to access the setup that we already have so we can do a live show of what we're having here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think pretty much that's it. So, Larry,
okay.
So I'm curious if Sean and Scott, who have a lot of modeling experience, have any thoughts here?
Yeah, I've been through all of this with Suresh many times, and I think what they've done here is really nice.
During the initial heads up. So during the initial design stage itself, we got inputs from Sean and Scott. So they were always giving us all these inputs on where to add and other stuff. And
absolutely. I think what Suresh has done here is I'm really in favor of it, and I think he's done it in a way that blends in with the existing slice, and as had been said previously, it's a minimal impact. If you don't have a connection to Iran, that's no problems. You can, those values will be ignored, and I think this is no different to many other attributes we have in the rock model that were never really used. There were things relating to I don't know, traffic classes or something like this that we added and we never really used them. Here, Suresh has a use for them. Most other people won't, but that's okay. I think it's not a big burden. The thing I like about it is it's backward compatible. It doesn't break anything, and I don't really foresee that much problem with it. I think the question that we're discussing today is, do we want to merge this back into main? And I think that would be fine.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. That's great to hear. And I think that is the question as well, is about merging this into main, and it seems like it's got all the right design elements in it. Out of curiosity, I'm a little confused about the changes you showed to the screen that was all green to the API.
They're automatically generated from the Yang file.
That's okay. That was my question. So this is all auto generated. So that's not. Yeah. Thank you. That was my question. And in terms of the GUI, there is some handcrafting there, or is that all?
Yeah, I think it was handcrafted, Suresh. And
sorry, this one, yes. Just I have used the snip tool and just to cut that one. Probably, I think, Gabriel, do you have that?
Let me quickly share. Yes.
Yeah.
Screen 2. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, this is the typical, if you go into the slice, that's what you're gonna have, and you show every single slice in there. So if we go inside each of any of those slices, you're gonna have, SST value, SD for up value, and then you have your typical data rates that are shown down here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, that's what we have in here, the policy ratios, these three parameters that are basically associated with this specific slice, the amount of resources from the run perspective, and that's kind of the only change from the GUI side.
Nice. So you need to know what those parameters were. I mean, they are very RAN specific. I mean, the bandwidths are kind of intuitive. I've got a slice. I know that I can limit the bandwidth. What bandwidth do you want? Here's the number.
So from the perspective, if I'm not mistaken, Suresh, this is already validated that the value can be just between 0 and 100, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so again, this is a percentage value of the amount of resources assigned to the slides itself. But if I understand correctly your question, Larry, you are referring, okay, what exactly it means to somebody who is new to this, in the sense that there should be some type of information here, not just saying maximum ratio.
My more of it was for my own understanding. You would need to understand, not that you can expect a naive person to fill this out, but you would need to understand that this particular set of three fields have a really precise meaning. It's controlling the RAN. I'm kind of getting at a meta issue here, which is some of the parameters that we have in the ROC are ones that you needed to pass down to the system below you because it was very specific, was part of the 3GPP spec or whatever. And part of it is an abstraction that says, hey, it's a slice. That's an abstract channel that you can control the bandwidth on, and you can connect it to an app on one end and a UE on the other end. And that's a real nice abstraction layer. I don't know that we need to layer an abstraction on top of this. I'm just making that observation that this is a nitty-gritty detail. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's probably that may not have been meaningful in this discussion. It was a big debate constantly as the ROC was being defined. Low-level models, high-level models.
Yeah, it is a good point of probably adding some data in here is just kind of parentheses is run use only for run or something like that.
Yeah. I think that actually would be sufficient at this point. Yeah.
For the user to know that it's just only going to affect the run if there is a rig, but otherwise nothing is going to break. It's going to work fine.
Yeah, that little annotation would address the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another meta topic. I like this. I think we ought to merge it in. A meta topic here is how to do an end-to-end validation of it, and you need a RIC, and you need a radio, and so on, or RIC controllable devices.
Yes, so there are a few things. So the solution itself that we presented, it was, this is just, we're discussing the ROC specific things. Besides that, we also made a few changes or a few additions into the RIC itself. So we created run slicing management X app that basically, consumes these parameters and pass that information to the G0B. On top of that, to make it ORAN compliant, we enhanced the E2SM repo to include also the CCC service model, which is the ORAN standardized service model used to pass these parameters or to exchange these parameters between the RIC and the G0B. So those are something that some PRs that we also open, and there are are pending reviews as well in there. But besides those two things, having just the ROC with this capability and the RIC with the capability, as kind of Ajay properly mentioned, we also need the RAN to support and understand it. In this case, understand the CCC, the E2 agent at the run to understand the CCC service model and the MAC layer or the scheduler to properly use those resources.
So the MAC layer scheduler is something you've embedded in what?
So in our case, for the project, the purpose of this project was doing this end-to-end differentiated security using open source components. So for the core rig, we use Aether, of course, along with the ROC, and for the RAN we use OpenAir interface. In that case, we had this collaboration with Northeastern University, and they did basically the development of everything related to the OAI, and they contributed back those improvements to the OAI community.
Yeah, that's good. So at some point, I would really like to get that OAI capability into on-ramp, so that that's my ultimate goal, is that it becomes deployable with all the other pieces. But I appreciate the point you're making, that there are several. This is a multi-part thing, and this is narrowly the ROC. The ROC part looks great.
Yeah. Now, two quick questions. So when you said that you would try to enable this capability into the on-ramp, do you mean to bring the, let's say, use on-ramp to also deploy the OpenAI interface version, for example, that supports this capability, or just specifically bringing this capability, scheduler capability, in something related to, let's say, the RAN simulator or something like that?
Multiple last component pieces. RAN sim, yes. OpenAI interface, yes, as well.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this is a long-term goal that, I mean, we already have the RIC and SD core as a part of Aether, still being, it needs to be hardened and tested and some things to do there, but Wuzhang already has done that. And so any changes that impact the RIC will be deployable with RAN sim in Aether on-ramp, in all of Aether. Adding OAI would be just another parallel activity that would be wonderful to see.
Right. Now, the other thing that you just kind of remind me is how I did this implementation is it was supposed to be to have an E2 agent on OAI. And then at the end of the day, there was not such implementation. So what I did is I implemented the E2 agent into the RAN simulator. I don't remember whether I opened the PR for that specific component, but at least this end-to-end capability all the way to the RAN simulator, we actually did that in here. So the integration between the RAN simulator, so we use the RAN simulator as E2 agent, and to integrate with the OAI, they basically created this JSON file, and OAI just reads from this JSON file. So what I had to do in my case is using the RAN simulator to write these values into this JSON file such that OAI reads from there. So that wasn't part of the original purpose, but that's a way that we kind of went around. But so basically the RAN simulator actually does have or supports this capability as well, in the case that you need just to test without any kind of like physical devices themselves.
All right, so I'm just taking a few notes here. Other questions?
Okay, if not, I can stop sharing and you can take back control of the screen. Yeah, if you have any further questions, Suresh is here, or myself as well. Just let us know. We can try to address any comments, questions you may have.
Thanks. So just making note here. So what we have here, backward compatible changes to the model, the ROC models, in support of the RIC policy ratio parameters. for a complete end-to-end demo, the other pieces are, I just wanted to take note of them here. There are RIC changes. There is the enhanced E2 service model changes. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. And you've changed the service model, and then you have
the run simulator.
Well, so so you got run simulator and the OAI
enhancements as well.
Yeah, enhancements. Yeah, and just getting the ransom piece in would give us at least an end-to-end nightly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was trying to mention. There is no need for the OAI itself. The OAI, you're going to have this actual end-to-end system having actual UEs, but the ransom simulator will be enough to run these different tests. I'm going to double check. I think I did open a PR for the run simulator. I don't remember. But if not, I can open it. And again, from the RIG side, I was kind of coordinating all the time with Wujun on this aspect. So kind of in a similar fashion as Sean worked with Suresh for the rock. I was kind of continuously working with Wujun on the RIG changes.
Out of curiosity, on the E2 service, is it service model or models? Did it change both?
No, in this specific case, it's a single service model. We fully concentrate just on a single service model, which is the CCC service model, cell configuration and control.
CCC service model?
Yeah, cell configuration and control.
Thank you. I just hadn't heard that acronym. Thank you. All right. Other questions? Well, speaking of, thank you very much. That's wonderful stuff. Speaking of ransom, Alex is on. Are there any, or Wuzhang, are there any updates on it?
So we couldn't have our meeting today because all the key participants had some conflicts, but Wuzhang is working on a POC of the new architecture. And we will have that, I don't know, probably sometime in December. Wujong, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, sorry, I just joined. So yes, correct. So basically my plan is at the end of this year, I mean, before the holiday, I think I want to demonstrate it to all of you about the POC things. So basically it's underway. So I'm actually designing some APIs for the internal communication, and now I'm working on some service model integration, etc. So it's underway. And actually, one more thing I want to mention here is that to move forward rapidly, actually, I found one person from Korea. He is trying to assist me to implement those POC. So hopefully we can complete it sooner. So that's my update. So still design API design is going now. So yeah, hopefully I can finish it soon.
Thank you. And while we've got you on the phone, is there any news on the SD-RAN integration into OnRamp? Have you been able to give that a spin?
Oh, not ready yet. So I'm actually testing it, but not much progress. So probably I can complete it also soon.
Well, so that actually leads into the QA status. We might need a little guidance from you.
Okay.
One of the things the biggest thing we've been doing on the QA side is just doing these integration tests. And we could start working on an integration test for SD-RAN, but we're probably going to need some advice on making sure that we, we're doing it right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. That takes us to QA status. I saw Kanal on earlier. You want to, if you're still there, I know it's late.
Yes, I am here.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So we have worked this week on two tasks. Majorly, we have added a few assertions in the Jenkins job to validate the GNB sim test runs um, properly, and we do get uh, a, a regular do a kind of regular reporting of it, and we do see a lot of Ether Jenkins um, updates on our Ether Jenkins channel. So we are monitoring all our jobs, and we have seen a few failures. And I mean, to check them and also to validate them, we have added a few assertions in the Jenkins job.
So it occurs to me, and I don't have the people. I'm sorry, the whoever's online right now. But if AJ, if you're still there, or someone else from SD Core, these jobs are running every night, and every now and then, instead of 5 UEs connecting, only 4 do, and 1 fails. Do you want us, when we see a failure, to capture any log and send them to somebody?
Yeah, definitely, Larry. I mean, when I use it, I don't see those failures. So definitely, and you're talking about only 5 users, so should be something straightforward to debug the problem, right?
Yeah, and it just
So
happens regularly enough that it occurred. It's probably tickling some timing related bug.
yeah, maybe I think me or Badri should be able to help.
So what would you
So is
want?
this something?
Would you want the GNB sim log, or should we try to send you the AMF log, or what?
So logically, if you're running only for the 5 subscriber, I would suggest that we should always capture the packet capture at the GNB sim. So that's the easy way to identify what's the error, right? And the second thing is that getting the GNB sim logs, which is anyway captured in one of the file after
Right, that's
every
right.
run, right? Yeah. So these two things should looks good to start with. Yeah.
All right. Well, so Kunal, I think in the same way that when you detect a failure, that triggers a post to the Jenkins channel. I would think it would be possible to also, when you know there's a failure, just make a copy of the log and stick it somewhere. I'm not sure where the right place is.
Yeah, that we can do, right? Um, for now, we can keep it on in one of the um, directory in the same machine. But I think, I mean, we can figure out if we can keep it in a DB database or somewhere like that on a separate machine, or maybe.
I'm thinking something simple, like just write it to Google Doc folder.
Yeah, that counts. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you and I can take the details offline and run them past AJ, but I think it would be good when we do see failures to make note of what we can. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. With that, continue on.
Yeah. So yeah, we have seen a few issues earlier that while Ether registry was down, and we had a workaround for that. So as Larry has already fixed, added that workaround in the repo itself. So we have updated our existing jobs with those changes, and we have removed the changes that we were doing for that workaround.
Good.
Yeah, and we have created a new PR for that workaround change in UPF values.yaml file.
Yep, I did it. I did accept it. Thanks.
Yeah. So once that is approved, Larry, we will be updating the job so that it would also reflect in the Jenkins job in multi UPF as well.
Good. Yeah, it is done. It's committed.
Sure. Regarding UE ransom deployment issue in with when it is containerized. So that is in progress, but I mean, we are yet to find a fix for tunnel interface in Docker container. So while we were debugging that, we just had a query if there is a tunnel interface which gets created in GNVSim as well.
There is not.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
we.
been experimenting with this as well, making a Kubernetes container for this, and the tunnel is only needed for the UE side of things. And what I found is if you're running it as a privileged container, in other
Mhm.
words, access to the host, then you can bring up the ton interface.
Okay. For UE ransom, right?
Yeah, and
Yep.
what you're talking about is the tunnel interface, that UE SIM 0
Tunnel
or
0.
whatever it is.
Right.
The network interface, yeah. I mean, obviously there's GTP tunnels being used in the Gnode BSIM, but that's not an interface and therefore does not require permissions on the host.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So to kind of something that I kind of mentioned also last time, keep in mind that the UE ransim at the UE side, one of the first things that it does, it checks whether the user is a root user or not. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. So, and that's part of the code itself. And the second part, like Mark, I think it was Mark, right? So
Yes.
I think Mark indicated the only tunnel that is created is just on the UE side, and that's the one that you need the at least pseudo privileges when you run it in a non-containerized environment. But for the case of the containerized environment, you need to run the privilege in the privilege mode to be able to do that. Now, I was kind of thinking on this, and probably last weekend or some time ago, I was checking on the internet, and there is a GitHub repo where somebody has containerized UE ransim for Docker and for Docker Composed. So you can take a look into that to see whether that helps you.
Have you found that?
I share the link through the message through the chat, Larry.
Yeah, I tried the UE ransom image that Luis has created, and we were seeing similar issues on that. So that's why we created a new image.
Okay. So you have already looked into this.
Yeah,
because again, the only main difference that he is mentioning here, which is the devices use the DevNet tune, which is basically makes a lot of sense in the sense that the UE creates this tunnel interface, which is named UESIM Tune 0.
Right. All right. Yeah, we will try this once again. As Mark mentioned that there should be a privilege, but we have tried with netadmin earlier, and we have also tried with -- privileged. We'll try once again if it is something required from the privilege perspective for this to run the UE.
It's more than netadmin. It's the type of thing that it's basically breaking the Docker sandbox or containerization. What we're looking for is actually running a privileged container, which is like all permissions elevated. Allows you to do the equivalent of sudo. I don't know exactly what that translates to in Docker.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
it would be the same configuration that allows you to run Docker in Docker. So if you've ever heard of that sort of setup or did some searching for Docker in Docker and privileges, that might point you in the right direction.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I can all make use of both Mark and Gabriel if you or get blocked on this, and maybe they'll, more than just on these calls. Hit them up on Slack or wherever.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
All right, we're at the top of the hour. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I have one last thing, based on what we talk about the permissions to the different repos and also the work that Suresh has done in the rock. I think it would be good to add him into, as a reviewer and even approver for the repos that are related to the rock. He has a lot of knowledge now in regards to that. So if there is any need for help on that part, probably Suresh can help us.
That sounds fine with me. In fact, it's Sean, you're the one that's going to be making a pass over the owner's project. So yeah,
I'll add him as a core member.
Thanks.
Okay, Larry, I had one other point as well. Honest Live Go, the Jenkins is still, it's showing problems again. It's Jenkins jobs are in pending mode, saying that let me see what the message is. All nodes of label Docker Go 119 are offline. So staff could look at that. And also there's also a GitHub action job there that's stopping it. The Jenkins status being reported back into GitHub.
Okay. The golib issue is the same case as Docker base, so it'll be resolved same time. And I'm hoping to get to that tonight. And for what it's worth, during the past hour, made enough progress on the wiki that I'm happy that it will be done today, which gives me full time on the registry. And the golib, the lib make, it was make golib, I think, make lib.
Honest Live Go?
Yeah, Honest Lib Go. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, that's the make test that was originally there, and that is busted because it can't talk to the Ether registry to push something correctly, if I remember correctly. But I'll be looking at that. Sorry, thank you.
Right.
Okay. Add it up to the info list, and it'll be put on the list for tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, there's one last link. I'm going to capture it here and stick it in the minutes. Hopefully I got it copied right.
Yeah,
so
no, that's
there's
right
the two links there I've just captured from the chat. All right, thanks everyone. Next week is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and I'm not going to be available. I'm just going to kind of guess. I might not be the only one. So
me neither.
All right, why don't we go ahead and declare next week canceled, and we'll meet in 2 weeks.
Sure.
All right, thanks everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.